That's on. Good afternoon, everybody. Testing. A very warm welcome to Sunday afternoon football in Sydney's southwest on what is potentially a defining day in the premiership race. The title-chasing Marconi Stallions hosting Blacktown City. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to Sunday afternoon football in Sydney's southwest on what is potentially a defining day in the New South Wales Premiership race. The title-chasing Marconi Stallions hosting the relegation-threatened Blacktown City from the Palace on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Marconi unbeaten in 11 league games heading into today and enjoying home comforts for the majority of the second half of this season. Will want another routine outing here to take them top, if only for an hour or so, ahead of Apia's clash with Rockdale later this afternoon. For visiting Blacktown City, the scrap for safety continues, and a win for big spending Sydney Olympic last night against St George has just made things a little more urgent. They'll be encouraged, though, by their strong recent form at this ground, where they've managed to come away with points in their last two regular season visits. Let's see how both teams try to do it. A game that has so often had repercussions for both up the top. A slightly different story today. And so for Marconi, off that 1-0 win against NSW a week ago, they've made just the one change. Tenqual's knock sees him drop out of the squad, and Cameron Windust will partner Anton Mlinaric in the heart of defence. Behind them, Joel Wade in goal, Tyrone Burney's the right back, George Daniel on the left, a midfield four of Meyer, Blair, Armson and Busek. Behind the front two, Marco Jesic, and golden boot chasing Damien Sekenis. For Blacktown City, two changes from their defeat by Apia, not an easy section of their fixture, taking on the top two in back-to-back weekends. But Caden Henderson is dropped for 18-year-old Cooper Rogers, who makes his first league start in first grade for Blacktown City after making his first grade debut a little earlier in the year in a cup tie against St George FC. In front of him, a back three it looks like for Mark Crittenden today. Lachlan Tilt, Nick O'Brien and Nathan Grimaldi, with Maxim Yej and Ko Tanaka the wing-backs. It's looking as though it'll go to a midfield four as well, with Mitch Marlier dropping to the bench, Caleb Jackson-Brown, Jacob Maniti, Adam Berry brought back in, and Sebastian Hayward, who scored his first league goal last week, through the middle, supporting Travis Major. His 10 goals, the most he's had in a league campaign for nearly 4 years. And Blacktown needing to ride his goals all the way to safety. Their all-time leading scorer is also their skipper this afternoon. So all just about ready. This has been a fiery affair over the past 4 or 5 seasons. 7 red cards in the last 9 meetings between these two. Declan Woods, our experienced A-League men's official, will be hoping he has a rather easier afternoon in store. And we are underway. Blacktown City looking to come here and spoil the party that Marconi have been putting together for some time, as they did a couple of years ago, and they handed the Premiership to Rockdale with a win here in the second last round of the season. We're a little further from finding out who hoists that piece of silverware this time around, but Marconi all too aware of today's opposition and their ability to play spoiler. And so we can settle in. My name is Alex Molcharoff. Thank you for joining us on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. What should be an entertaining affair. Marconi a bit business-like over the past 2 or 3 weeks. 3 straight clean sheets for the man on the ball now, Joel Wade. It's meant they haven't exactly turned on the style at different times, just managed their way through last weekend's win over UNSW with predictable professionalism and a taste of consistency about their play. I'll tell you what, Declan Woods waving away the flag of his assistant in the early stages of this one. And Franco Meyer, who's sparked a quite sparkling return to form over the past couple of months. Started every game of the season since round 10 when he was sort of in and out of the team. This man's solidified his position as well. Sekenis off the line. Can they finish it off? Well, Cooper Rogers under some sort of pressure in his league debut, having to play last-ditch hero. His starting league debut anyway. as Marko Jesic couldn't convert after Sekenes had his effort turned aside. Ominous signs early for the away team. Cut through by first Mate Busek and then Damien Sekenes, who almost added to the tally he's put together of 13 in the first 20 league fixtures of the season. Busek's delivery dangerous. Nick O'Brien there. Meyer doesn't mind a shot from distance, and the touch before trickling over the byline is one from Maxim Yej, but there was a Marconi player affecting play in an offside position. So Blacktown City with a bit of a let-off after a less than ideal opening 2.5 minutes. See Nathan Grimaldi, he made his way forward there and putting absolutely all of his body on the line, blocking a ball back there, needing a few deep breaths to recover. It's the back three as we suspected for Mark Crittenden. He's gone back to this in the past month or so, and to add a measure of defensive stability, which has really been the thing missing for Blacktown as they've tried to dig themselves out of this hole. A slow start to the season after sort of running into this difficult draw at the beginning of the year where they faced all of the top four and Sutherland. There was one or two who thought they'd find their way out after that, but it certainly hasn't been the case. And the desperation has begun to grow week on week. There have been more consistent performances as the chase has continued, but rather ominous signs with Olympics' big recruitment push in the window. Blacktown City with not as many incomings. The signing of Lachlan Henderson, who's sitting on the bench today, about the only notable movement. Maniti and Berry being deployed in the heart of midfield together today. There's the former Blacktown City right fullback, TJ Burney. Made his name for Mark Crittenden in the championship campaign of 2022. A couple of campaigns now as a Marconi Stallion, a very impressive Australian championship and the run to the final against South Melbourne. Blair, right on his shoulder, the American, to take that ball away from Blacktown, who wanted a free kick blown. I think the referee's decision to play on was quite right. So Kenneth slipping at the vital moment, and Grimaldi game enough to play the ball into him and win his side a goal kick. Well, the visitors have been on the end of an early Marconi flurry. Hasn't led to the opening goal just yet. Big call from Mark Crittenden to bring Rogers into the team, and one of the toughest trips in the competition, which to make his starting league debut. Got some experienced heads. They'll be bearing down on him over the course of the afternoon. Not least Jack Armson. Marko Jesic has already fired a shot in anger. Cameron Windass has not been a regular starter for a little while now because of an injury he suffered last season and because of the form of Wanarich and Qual at the start of this year. Busek trying to make his way clear, but Jackson Brown in the team for his energy and industry. Back there to cover. He's got a bit of attacking ability as well, Caleb Jackson Brown. He's had to really lead the midfield into battle most weeks recently. Burney in an attacking position. Ball for Jesic, a looping header. Never really troubled the goalkeeper. So Kenneth wanted it squared for him by the looks of things. Burney's ball maybe just a little high for Jesic to get the purchase that he wanted on the header. Two striking combatants, Major and Jesic, going head-to-head today, as they have so many times down the years. The hosts on the front foot as we expected. Busak's looked lively, and he's almost taking that one off the fingertips of Rogers, who read the moment well and timed his tidy up run. Now he's got to be proficient with his feet, and that was rather more difficult, only finding Armson and inviting Marconi forward through Busak. To the rescue was Lachlan Tilt, diving across in front of his goalkeeper. And that perhaps is where Rogers will be tested almost more than his shot-stopping ability. Marconi's press is ferocious when they are given just a sniff of an opportunity to win the ball high up the pitch. Saw an example of that there. Now Busak to take the follow-up corner. Swinging in towards Rogers, who punches only as far as Meyer, cutting across the ball rather than through it. He's got a pearler of a left foot, Franco Meyer, when he does catch them. We've seen him catch quite a few from that distance over the past couple of seasons. Just skidding off the turf. You saw Sekenis slip a minute or so ago. It's been a wet day in Sydney. Poured the 40-minute drive this commentator made out here today. And thankfully, the rain has just given up the ghost for kick-off to this game. Major and Mlinaric in a wrestling match, and Mlinaric winning front spot, which meant that when he was dragged back, the free kick came in his favour. Notable how full the Marconi club, or Club Marconi I should say, next door has been over the course of the World Cup, and we've had a few fans make their way over for kick-off here after taking in the midday fixtures of the World Showpiece. Well, there's so much footballing focus on that at the moment. As we told you at the top of this stream today, potentially Premiership defining because of the difficulty of Apia's fixture later today. Apia and Marconi have already met in both their head-to-heads this season. It's going to be results in other matches that finds us the winner. And of course Sydney United are still lurking as well. Just a couple of points behind Marconi. They missed the chance to go ahead of them for 24 hours with that defeat on Friday night against Sydney FC. May see them drop out of the picture if both the two above them are successful over the next few hours. Mlinaric and Major getting entangled again. Neither will be taking a backward step. He's known as a bit of a raconteur, Anton Mlinaric, and Travis Major is not having much of that. Known as a fiery sort earlier in his career, Travis Major. He's rather mellowed as his career has gone on, particularly since his time overseas, but Mlinaric can bring a rise out of even the calmest in the competition. Already he and Major becoming probably a little too familiar with each other for the referee's liking, certainly. They're together again in front of Joel Wade as the throw is sent in by Tilt, whose header is only as far as Armson, looking to release Sekenis. And Jackson Brown's got the better of he and Nick O'Brien, steaming towards the penalty area. Held up by Jackson Brown, who did nicely. Couldn't slide the pass in behind for Meyer, who's made a good 50, 60-yard sprint to get up and try and provide assistance to Sekenis. Not able to on this. Blacktown City seem to have seen off the initial storm. It's one of a few that might be coming their way. Might have only seen off the tropical low. And Cyclone Marconi may well appear before the end of the afternoon. Mlinaric and Armson just getting themselves in a little bit of a tangle there. Adam Berry restored to the starting lineup today. Busak's got the better of Tilt in the initial bit of interplay, and then Sir Kenneth left his return pass short. See Mitch Marliott fielding the ball there quickly. Fit enough for the bench today. Mark Critton has been managing him through this season. Remember, he only came back, thought he'd been medically retired 3 years ago. Experimental surgery in that foot, and he's managed to extend his career by another couple of seasons. It's been so crucial for Blacktown in finding goals along with Major for the course of this season. Only Maxim Yezh splitting the two of them in the goal scoring ranks for Blacktown so far this season with 5. Major, as we told you, has 10. Marley 4. That's the top 3. As Marconi went another corner. Do well to remind you as well that it's not up front that Blacktown City have had the issues. Unlike some of those around them, it's been down this end of the pitch. Busak's going to continue to put pressure on young Cooper Rogers here. Jesic right on his toe. And he's going almost direct. Rogers punches off his line. And it's Meyer again! Trickles the wrong side of the post. A Blacktown touch on the way through. But Franco Meyer is looking very, very lively indeed in these early stages. And he was only a whisker away from opening the scoring there. Well, I mentioned the fire between these two teams seems to be there every year. It was a little calmer at Landon Stadium back in round 6 until the end of the occasion when some rather unsavoury scenes up in one of the grandstands. There's no love lost right in front of the 18-year-old goalkeeper. Major playing bodyguard for guess who? Anton Mlinaric. Meyer's delivery is deep. Windus wins the header. And Grimaldi to the rescue. Very solid connection on the clearance as well. Daniel bringing down Jackson Brown, and that's a pressure-relieving free kick for Blacktown City. Just needs a little bit of a breather here for their back line. Had one extended stint with the ball in a promising area of Marconi's half, but apart from that, it's been all sky blue in the early stages here. This is Blacktown's first visit here since round 1 last season. They managed to come away with a 1-1 draw against odds. Jared McKinley sent off that day, and Jacob Kresnar making his debut for the club, scored in the 95th minute to steal a point in a game Marconi were, to the neutral observer, by far the better team. Mike Crittenden, as he so often has in his 16 years in charge of the first grade team at Blacktown City, pulled the right rein that night. See if he can do so again here. The bench is already into the game, both with a fourth official and the linesman, and Declan Woods is just adjusting his earpiece, maybe turning the volume down as he made his way back into position. A scything challenge from Mlinaric, and straight away Blacktown City players turning to referee Woods and crying for further punishment to be meted out. You could almost hear the referee say to Mlinaric there. Any more of those and it will be a yellow. Late rather than malicious, but illegal all the same. Jackson Brown bounced back up to his feet as though to prove the point that the challenge hadn't hurt him any. And at the end of all of that, Blacktown City have a very promising set piece to try and execute from here. Yesh over to deliver from the far touchline, swinging a ball in towards Joel Wade. Closing in on 300 minutes without conceding. The Marconi goalkeeper, and that ball's not going to test him too far. Happy to see it travel well over his crossbar. Meeting as well, Peter Sekenis and Mark Crittenden, the two longest serving coaches across the competition. Know what to expect of one another, that's for sure. Calls from some of the Marconi players. That ball had passed out of play. Pretty clear from up here. It was still well in. One of the better pitches across the competition. It's relayed at the start of the year. Hence Marconi's trip away from here for the majority of the opening stages of the season. It's left them with a very nice little run in. 6 of their final 9 games being played at this ground. It's a good challenge by Yesh, who wasn't keen to give up on the little individual duel with George Daniel. Mlinaric and Major into another scrap, and another free kick going the Marconi screener's way. Well, there's just little spot fires everywhere here to keep an eye on it. It's been a very engaging watch. Not been one for the football purists to this point, but who needs that when you've got tension and plenty on the line for both teams? Marconi looking to bring Blacktown City out of their shape somewhat by opening the scoring. They were close within the opening 5 minutes. Windus gets the head on the initial ball. It's allowed to bounce. And Busek could only get his right foot at it. Grimaldi almost took it out of the hands of his goalkeeper. And the danger's only half clear. Meyer regathers and Rogers calm under pressure. He's an imposing presence, Damien Sekenis, and Rogers negotiated his insistence on being in the 6-yard area pretty sweetly there. So there's just a moment that's coming that's going to spark this game into life one way or the other. Could be in the positive in the form of a goal, or something that grabs the headlines for, shall we say, less memorable reasons. Maybe they're more memorable, depends on your point of view. Yesh does beautifully to pick out Hayward from the best part of 30 yards. About a yard to put that ball in, and he did it beautifully. Tanaka. Beniti and Berry. This is when those dual holders for Blacktown City are at their best, when their team are on the ball and pressing forward. So the same with Nick O'Brien, really. Someone who likes to dictate from deep. Yesh seen off by Mlinaric. It's been at the centre of absolutely everything in the opening near quarter of this game. Probably a little more so than Peter Sekenis would like, although it does indicate that Marconi are pressing high and putting Blacktown under pressure as soon as they enter their defensive half, often even before that. That is making it very, very difficult for them to get any sort of quality possession near Joel Wade's net. Major is cutting a rather isolated figure at different points of this opening half as the lone striker for Blacktown. And set up with a very precise goal in mind by the looks of things today. The point would be just as sweet as all three. Coming in as heavy underdogs as they are. Asking Marconi to break them down. Sekenis. He's still going, Damien Sekenis. He's weaved his way around a couple, and Jackson Brown firm in the challenge again. Can Jasic break free? Did have tilt, but couldn't have Nick O'Brien, who's more often than not been the spare defender and just sweeping things up behind the initial challenges of those in front of him. Not quite the old-fashioned sweeper, but hasn't been a million miles away from that either. Tilt's just looking for as much distance as possible on the majority of those throws out of his own half. Try and get over the top of the Marconi press before it can really find full effectiveness. Full throttle. So Mlinaric has been present in everything. Cam Windust quite the opposite, winning just his fourth league start of the season today. Jasic, clever. Gorgeous first touch. Busek! That was Marconi at their best. 3 precise touches, and Mate Busek just bending the ball the wrong side of the post. But the ingenuity of Jasic just to hold off his defender, bring the ball down on a dime and feed the inside runner was of the highest quality. It might take something like that for Marconi to break the deadlock in this first half. Blacktown have been very dogged and disciplined since a very shaky start. Since then they've looked right up for the battle, as they always seem to be against this opposition. Swinging his boots at it was Major, but again, there's not a whole heap of support around him, and George Daniel can start the attack. Yes, did seem to rather hold him back there. Daniel gives him a little shove and a wry smile. Major and Mlinaric together again. Fair enough, says the referee this time. Major's hold up work tidy. Tanaka. This is where they want Sebastian Hayward operating as well. Scored his first league goal last week against Apia for the season. Came inside the opening 5 minutes, and Blacktown pretty dogged until half-time, when things rather did deteriorate after that. Third goal particularly will be one I'm sure they didn't want to watch back, and it came from their own attacking corner. Deadly Apia-like counter-attack. Marconi possessed similar abilities in that sort of position, but I doubt that Blacktown City are as inclined to give them the same opportunity unless they already hold the lead, as Apia did a week ago. A reminder, Apia in action. Kick-off at 4:30, or 4:15 I should say, at Lambert Park. So maybe updates on the first half during the early stages of the second here. We've had another tussle between two teams that has defined the location of silverware at different times over the past 5 years. Most notably, went down to the wire in the 2023 chase for the Premiership without a final series that year. Apia emerged victorious before Rockdale got the job done a year later. Marconi, of course, played every single year of the National Soccer League along with South Melbourne, the only two clubs to do that, and because of that timeout, haven't had as many opportunities to win the New South Wales Premiership as their opposition today. But it is still quite a stark contrast. They haven't managed to claim the Premiership in New South Wales state football, but have managed 4 grand finals, including that recent one back in 2024 where they knocked off Rockdale after some titanic tussles in that season. Jesic. Meyer for Burney. Looking for Busek in a central area. He's just trying to get himself on the ball, Mate Busek, and Marconi liked that because he often causes headaches for defences. Nathan Grimaldi having a word with the official, but he went right through Busek to try and win the football. Two players who've spent plenty of time in A-League academy systems, Busek and Grimaldi, coming together there. Franco Meyer and Jacob Maniti hearing a smile over exactly where the football should be placed. Maniti retreating to go to the wall. Marconi still trying to find the recipe to deliver the game's opening goal. Two pretty proficient strikers of a dead ball over this one in Jesic and Meyer. I think the captain might win out. Or will it be the left footer? It's Jesic! Good piece of goalkeeping from Rogers. Jesic put that ball exactly where he wanted to have maximum pressure on the Blacktown City goalkeeper. Try and force even a rebound, but it was a tidy piece of work from the Blacktown City Gloveman. He's dealt with every challenge that's come his way so far. Might be a few more to come before the 90 minutes is out. Blacktown City have made sure this game has become anything but a lay-down misère. It's something that Marconi are going to have to fight and scrap for the entirety of the 90 minutes. Grimaldi. Be nice if they can start to offer them some defensive headaches as well. Here comes the Marconi press, led by Sekenis. Rogers goes over all of that, taking the risk. That's why it is so difficult to play against Marconi, is because they press as high as they do and you're forced to go over the top. They're some of the best at winning those 50-50s. Suddenly it does become a bit like beating your head against a brick wall, trying to get the ball upfield. Just keeps coming back at you, like playing tennis against one of those walls they've got out of the centres. Don't miss too often, neither do Marconi. George Daniel is having a little foray forwards here. Cut out initially by Jackson Brown, hoisted away by Tilt. By Jesic, and Mlinaric was sure not to miss Travis Major. And that brings the game's first booking. Major, who's copped a couple of bumps and bruises in that battle. I'm not sure whether he'll see that as job done for now. But Mlinaric is the first name taken by the referee. Does that change the complexion of their little battle at all? I have to wonder. Norwich was sent off a little earlier in the season, but that wasn't for anything too physical in the way of a challenge. It was, from memory, making a challenge as the last defender. Can Blacktown create anything from a throw into the area? Jesic dealing with that fairly easily. Busek over in cover. That yellow card for Norwich will see him miss the next game. That's his 5th booking of the season. A little headache for Peter Sekenis going into the game against St George. Same time, same place next week. The St George team that have been reefed back into the relegation race. Wondered whether the win over UNSW a few weeks ago might be the turning point of their season. Results since have shown that that doesn't look as though it's going to be the case. Bernie has won his side the throw. Apologies if any of the protests came through the effects mic there. We could hear very clearly what Marconi thought of all that. Nathan Grimaldi with a little bit of gamesmanship, just ensuring they couldn't get the ball back into play as quickly as they might have liked. Bernie, who's never one to lead the protest himself. He generally lets his football do the talking, and he's done beautifully to slide past Tanaka. The ball's good, and Armson's opened the scoring. And it's Armson who adds his name to the score sheet, but the goal is Tyrone Bernie's. A gorgeous run down the right, a ball plumb onto the heads of his midfielder, who buried the ball in the back of the net. It was Bernie at his best, and he has led Marconi to the opener, finished off by Jack Armson, who has made a career of runs like that. At Marconi's disposal now, and much loved by them. His 7th in Sky Blue this season. Marking his card as one of the standout signings of 2026 for Peter Sekenis. Impact early in the year in the way of defensive discipline and maintaining the structures. Long worked upon and set up by the coaching staff out here, but now getting forward and getting his name back in the goals more regularly, as has been the case in years past. All the way back to him breaking onto the scene with the Bronny White Eagles in League One. Time at Apia, a successful spell before a less fruitful year in 2025 there. But that's got Marconi with a bit between their teeth. And now Sekenis can face up to Grimaldi with players flooding forward in support. Myers there. The touch takes it on for Busek. His ball is towards Jesic, headed away by O'Brien. You heard the groans from the crowd in the grandstand. Meyer regathers. Ball deflects off Berry, who seemed to have his back turned despite the appeals for handball. This is Marconi at their most clinical. The opening goal seemed a matter of time away. It has arrived, and now they are just strolling about with confidence, which is what you tend to garner when you've gone 11 unbeaten in league football. Their last loss in this competition was back on Easter Monday against Sydney United. They've almost played every other team in the competition since then and not dropped any of those matches. Bernie, who created the first, wins a corner. Did brilliantly to slip Tanaka and feed Armson. Follows up with another enterprising run. Talk about Armson perhaps being the signing of last season. You could have made an argument that Bernie held that very title across the competition a year ago. Now it's Myers' turn. He's going the shorts variation with Armson. And now for Bernie, he might look to line up himself. thinks better of that. Flicked on and flicked behind by Major. That ball could have gone anywhere. Don't think he wanted that ball quite as close to goal as it ended up, Travis Major. The Blacktown defence breathes a big sigh of relief as it passed wide of Rogers' net. Have to regather themselves again and refocus Blacktown City because they are inviting a second. How deep they're sitting at the moment. It's a dangerous delivery. O'Brien watchful at the near post, and Busek will get another bite of the cherry. They're a pleasure to watch when they're in this sort of mood, Marconi. Busek towards Windust. Well, that's been a tactic, hasn't it? It's a couple of times he's got his head to the ball. At the back post now, Cameron Windust. Been looking to nod the ball back across the face of goal. Wasn't quite able to manage it that time, but again, winning the leap for the initial header. As the sun begins to peek through the clouds here at Marconi Stadium after a wet day across Sydney. Cooler conditions have finally arrived. We've been playing in almost autumn heat for the majority of this New South Wales NPL campaign. It does feel like a gorgeous winter's Sunday in Sydney today. Barry just having a chip at Maya. He managed to get to him before Maya distributed the ball. You wonder whether he might have saved his team the free kick. Not to be. Mlinaric. Daniel just with a loose touch, and that might allow Blacktown City to go forward in transition. Jackson Brown. Major with Blair in his back. Jackson Brown's continued his run. And now Daniel back to do the defensive work, but Blacktown City have won themselves an attacking corner. Just a little slip from George Daniel. Don't see that too often. Usually one of the steadiest in those sorts of situations, but Jackson Brown can do that. He sneaks up on you with his pace. And now Yej has a chance to deliver. It's towards the near post. Jesic got across. Much like Marconi did a minute ago, they'll have a second crack. Curling this ball in towards Wade. Barry standing near him, completely unmarked. And Wade did well, sort of flapped the ball away. And the header is there for Barry, who will feel as though he probably should have put that on target. Not what he's known for, Adam Barry. It's more the go of his brother Ben in his time at the club. That's pretty close to the best chance that Blacktown City have managed to generate in the opening 40 minutes. See, Blacktown are still sitting so compact, and that's allowing Maya to pick up those deeper positions. Feed Jesic on this occasion. Bernie, provider for the first. This time he sets it back for his winger. Maya loves those sweeping balls across field with his left foot. He's looking to do that here. It's a rather cuter option to Mlinaric this time. Maya's almost playing as the linchpin in the centre of midfield now, spraying passes. This is on the money for Bernie. Well, there's a free roaming role, and then there's whatever Franco Maya is taking up at the moment. He's basically just moving at will. That was a little lax, that ball inside, and then to prevent the attack developing, he clips the heels of Seb Hayward. Perhaps a little fortunate to avoid the booking, but he's given the same patience that Mlinaric was earlier. The first one, just a word of warning from Declan Woods. Well, you saw the brilliance and some of the little looser elements of Franco Meyer's game that make him so eminently watchable. He's someone you always have an eye on when he's on the football pitch. That was a little loose one from Travis Major. He just left a foot in on George Daniel. A little naughty. Sometimes players feel they can get away with. Matty Bingley, the assistant, just walked up to talk to one of his substitutes, having a word with the assistant as he made his way back towards the technical area. It's been a stop-start first half. There's just been little fouls like that committed by both teams. Has interrupted the flow of the opening 45 minutes, but that's been quite to Marconi's favour after they took the leads just after the half-hour mark. Norwich wins the header. Jesic tries the lobbed option for Sekenis. Cut out by the nest of black shirts back there. And Windust was happy to just have the ball down the other end. Again, there's just a chippiness to this game. You can hear the shouts from the players, having words with one another up and down the pitch. Declan Woods has managed it all pretty well to this point. This result holds for Marconi. It'll be 4 unbeaten against this opposition. Or in fact, make that 5 unbeaten. Missing the finals game. I mentioned the round 29 fixture. What I didn't mention is Marconi hosted Blacktown City here a couple of weeks later in a grand final qualifier and beat them by 6-2. So while Blacktown have had recent success in the regular season, they've also been on the back of a hiding at this ground in the not so distant past. They know how things can get if Marconi really do get a run and a flow going against them. Berry just a little weak, shoved off the ball by Armson, and Sekenis is bearing down on goal. It's Damien Sekenis for Marconi. Faced up his defender and managed to generate a yard of space to get the shot away, but didn't catch it quite as cleanly as he would have liked. Just a solitary extra minute. I have to say it's a little surprising given how many little stoppages we've had. In fact, we haven't had a major one. That's why we're just seeing that solitary 60 seconds at the end of this first half. It's been pretty entertaining fare. Marconi managing their way through the game and opening the scoring deservedly. Blacktown City strike back late here. Windust clearing. It's looked a natural replacement for Tenqual today. Has not missed a beat. Stepping in at the heart of defence. And Joel Wade has largely been a spectator. There's been a couple of balls for him to catch and punch away from set-piece situations, but it's not been a meaningful save forced on him. Cooper Rogers in his starting debut for Blacktown City has been rather busier down the other end, and it's Jack Armson with his 7th goal of the season that has given the Stallions another half-time lead. Such fast starters, it's what they made their names on. Tyrone Burney, turning provider with a winding run down the right and a perfect cross onto Armson's head. Blacktown City have only fired a shot or 2 in anger back down the other side, most of them from dead ball situations. But Marconi at home looking as strong as ever and may just sit top of the league for an hour or so if they hang on here. After 45 minutes at the Palace, it's Marconi Stallions 1, Blacktown City 0.
Lofted back to Sinnott. Sinnott had to be alert. And now Sinnott could be a loose touch. Shoeki might have pressured him, and now is a chance. And there's the goal for Danny Choi. Shoeki deserves a lot of credit for the pressure there. That's a great ball by Olsen to Choi. He's away here. Danny Choi tucks it away and double Sutherland's lead. What a ball from Nicholas Olsen. Choi definitely onside. Time to run perfect. Might have lost out here. And there's three forwards. Play through to Olsen, left side of the box. He has support in the middle. Rolls it across. Shots there. And it's 3-0. So it's going to be 3 goals and 3 points for Sutherland Sharks.
That's at George City. Harry McCarthy's at Rockdale Lillenden, and Ben Cooper's on the bench tonight. Well, that's a good ball. Neuenhoff opens the scoring. Gorgeous bit of interplay down the left. The attack alive. Can he find the cutting pass? O'Shea close in attention. Pires' header sneaks in at the near post, and they do have a second.
Van der Sar, of a short run-up, is able to put it in the bottom left corner, and Rockdale have the opening goal. Really clever flick on from Elliott. Skatardis squares it. And now advancing is Speranza. A low shot parried into the path of Chalakian, and Rockdale have scored twice. Here comes the free kick from Chalakian, and a glancing header is a good one, and Van der Sar has a double. To the right flank, Constable whips it in, and if the flag stays down, that is 4. And amidst the appeals from the Olympic defenders, Moody Najjar has a...
Curry with the left foot, floats the ball in towards the penalty spot. Tef is there, can't quite get it. Pedersen, shot, goal! A beautiful strike.
Rose looking for Nakano. Great touch from Nakano. Finds Kristlovic. Leroy Jennings finds the bottom corner with what was probably his first touch of the game.
Zavadinos playing games with Yamamura, who calmly slots it into the left of the goal to give the Wolves the lead. Jared Middleton, and now here is Marion France. Makes a bit of space, and it's a good ball in. Solski gets a touch on it, but it's headed in. Scott, lovely pass. Mashivecchio's in, and that is a super finish. And the Wolves have re-established their lead. Touch. Blocked by Kanaizumi. Dax Kelly's clearance. It's still on here for Sydney. It's blocked. Tay Headley's there. And it is rammed into the goal. And a valuable 3 points it would be, with both looking towards the opportunity of finals football. And it is an absolute belter.
But they'll very much be hoping to get something out of this as they work a good angle here as it's pulled across the face and fired home! Blacktown draw first blood! Pass, it's Stewart again. Pulled back towards Ortiz, spins, shoots, scores! It's Presley Ortiz again! Helps it on towards Stewart. Swung in towards Contestabo! And Jordan now looks to go through the gears. Good delivery from Rory Jordan. It's Ortiz!
Match the pressure they've had. Meyer, another ball, back post, and it's going to be an own goal. Not how UNSW wanted to defend it, and Marconi
Welcome back to Marconi Stadium. Just about to see the second half get underway here. And it's the hosts who lead by a goal to nil, thanks to Jack Armson's header just after the half-hour mark, laid on a platter for him by Tyrone Burney's terrific work down the right. Still, Blacktown City have a foothold in the game, not just folded after that. And now perhaps a strike weapon of note. Mitch Marlier joining Travis Major after a half-time substitution. Let's see if he can add the cutting edge they need to find a way back into this game past the defensive duo of Windust and Lenaric, who've looked so solid to this point. Welcome back to the Palace in Sydney's southwest. My name is Alex Molchanov, along with you for the second half here on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel as they get themselves in a pickle already. Blacktown City managing to clear the danger initially was Rogers. Yesic. Meyer lets the ball run for the informed Burney. The Blacktown City product. Almost fell for Sekenis. Jackson Brown with a rough job dealing with that. Marlier close to the action for the first time since being brought on. That's Kotanaka, who was turned inside out really by Burney for that goal, who's been removed. Japanese import. Yej sliding into his position at left wing back outside Grimaldi, who makes the initial clearance. This might fall for Blair. And Maya, well, it was audacious. He's got that sort of quality in the locker, Franco Maya, but didn't strike that as he was looking to. That's a little bobble. The rain has well and truly cleared out here since kickoff, and a few sprinkles still around after a wet morning in Sydney. Pitch, as it always seems to here at Marconi, is held up beautifully, and players have generally enjoyed pretty good conditions in running around on it tonight, or today I should say. Getting a little ahead of myself. Maya, who's been so central to so much. Started 11 straight games as of today in league football. It's going to be interesting to see. Signing for Marconi this week that was made public was James Bayliss returning to the club after such a successful stint in the OFC Pro League with Auckland FC. Winning a grand final over South Melbourne, meting out some revenge for the Australian Championship final that he played out in a Marconi shirt. Former teammate Geordie Swivel, who was here for so much of last season as well, part of that final on the other side of things. Now Jacob Maniti with a chance to try and launch something into the box here. Flat ball, but well out of the reach of Travis Major. He's had an exasperated word or two. I understand why. It's been a frustrating afternoon for him to this point. So the same for the majority of the Blacktown City team. We've seen a lot of scrapping for 50-50s like this over the course of the game so far. It suited Blacktown City before Marconi had taken the lead. So the opposite is true of that now. Stallions don't mind a 1-0, and they'll be quite happy to ride out the results here. Though I know that won't satisfy Peter Sekenis entirely. More worried about the performance once the result is sewn up, and the team have not quite reached that marker just yet. Solid as the defence has been this season, again. Something a little different here from Blacktown City with Tilt's long throw towards Grimaldi. Did manage to get the initial purchase on the ball. Armson sweeps it away. O'Brien for Maniti. Disappointing story down the attacking end as well for Mike Crittenden, because after the return of Jack O'Brien from such a long layoff from injury, he was sent off for an altercation with referee Stephen Lucas a couple of weeks ago, and that's seen him banned for an extended period. Chase for goals, so critical, particularly when you fall behind in games like they have today. On the live ladder, Marconi sitting a point ahead of Apia. Everything set to kick off at Lambert Park almost right now between they and Rockdale. On goal difference, if Apia could only find a point in that game, Marconi would stay top for the rest of the week. Ahead of that game against St George FC next week. Blacktown City heading back home to Landon Stadium, where they'll take on Sydney United, who will come in with their tails a little between their legs after the defeat by Sydney FC over the course of the, I should say, the opening game of the weekend. That scoreline was a 0-0 as well. Defensive masterclass from the young Sky Blues. There's been a chink in Sydney United's armour this season. It's been the fact that they have struggled to break down set defences like the one that Sydney FC faced them with on Friday. It's a little blueprint for Blacktown City to follow on that trip, on that return home next week. Daniel for Busek. Kennis and Blair just stroking the ball around with confidence at the moment, Marconi. Now here comes the third man run. Blair not quite able to sort his feet out before he played that ball, but Blacktown threatened by the press, trying to find Major. And Mlinaric reading the danger as he so often does. Armson's cutting ball for Busek, just sits it up for Daniel. Delivers with his right foot. Little touch, which has helped out Sir Kennis. He's looking to turn with two in his back. And again, Blacktown City can't get out of their defensive third, really. Forget about their defensive half. Again, Sir Kennis looking to play link up. Armson leaves it for Meyer. Doesn't need a second invitation, but lays it off for Busek this time. This is good football, and Meyer's there. A good save. Really good save from Cooper Rogers. And a well-earned applause as well, because he managed to prevent the rebound. The flag was up for offside against Jesic, but the Blacktown City goalkeeper wasn't to know that. Perhaps showing just why Mark Crittenden was keen to make the change today. Player's been a regular starter in the 20s. He's been the backup goalkeeper to Henderson for most of the last two seasons. Getting his opportunity today, and I have to say, he hasn't looked out of place. Not much he could do about Jack Armson's goal to open the scoring, and there's a couple of times he's made very sharp reaction stops to prevent Marconi going further ahead. They need the likes of Adam Berry and Travis Major, and even Jacob Maniti is one of the more senior players now to step up and really rip this game back in their favour. At least give them a chance or two before we really get into last throws and Marconi shut things down entirely. Yeah, just creeping forwards. He's still a few yards there. Fortunately, from a Marconi perspective, the restart went back in their favour anyway, and then Yesh commits the foul. He's lost his old mates over the registration window. Nicholas Skataric making a move back to St George FC for the end of the season. Still in the relegation scrap, but a point ahead of Blacktown heading into the weekend. Looks as though that status is going to stay the same, with both falling over the course of the weekend. St George on the end of a defeat by a new-look Sydney Olympic side for Michael Melito. Number of names brought in. Looking as though they're going to be a different prospect to opposition teams in the last couple of months of the season. Mlinaric searching deep towards Sekenis. Liège with a, well, looked like a two-handed shove in the back. That's not what the assistant thought. Damien Sekenis told he went down too easily. And Blacktown playing themselves into more trouble. Rogers trying to be precise, but Maniti turns the ball over. And another wave of Stallions attack can make its way forward. Daniel tries another measured cross with his right foot. Again, only finds the head of Grimaldi. Nice touch from Armson. And Maya just a little loose. Can Blacktown break quickly? This is what they want from Mitch Malia, to be able to give them a look forwards. That's a little more precise. It's easier said than done when Mlinaric is around. Reads the game so beautifully. The physicality and the presence is all there, but his ability to read the game before it unfolds is what got him the 14 appearances in the A-League with Brisbane. Daniel. Jackson Brown on his back, turns away from him, returns the ball to Busek. And Liège's got to be careful. Sekenis won the initial header. Myers there again on his left foot. Going to get a shot away this time. Reefs at the wrong side of the post. There's just a couple standing up in anticipation when Franco Maya cuts inside on that left foot. Hasn't had a glut of goals this season. Just a couple of strikes in the league. He was claiming that one caught a deflection, but Maya just looked like he dragged it a little. There's another player who needs to really get Blacktown City going forward some impetus. Nick O'Brien did enough to find Malia. Berry giving Major something to chase. Windust cool and calm enough to slide the ball over the near touchline. Tilt. Norwich well positioned. Bernie, it was an awkward one, fell right on his thigh. He wanted to hit it first time and then just had to wait for it to drop. And there was a Blacktown touch somewhere in there. Marconi get a pressure relieving throw. The first time they've been put under extended pressure in the second half. Daniel. To Bernie, the two fullbacks linking up. Bernie's ball wide, left it little to be desired. Maya chases it down. All's well that ends well for Marconi. Blacktown just haven't punished them for those moments of sloppiness. They haven't been perfect in possession today, Marconi. Haven't been far off it. That's another turnover, this time from Maya. Got to make one of these opportunities count. And they might do here with Malia. Taken to the byline and then a committed challenge from Franco Maya, which saw Malia fall to his haunches. Maya over to check on his well-being after the event as well. Marconi have got a goal kick out of all of that. You can see what the reaction of the bench was, but there weren't too many appeals from the players around Mitch Malia that suggested penalty shout was reality, or a realistic hope of being given, I should say. A couple of changes been readied, I think, slowly by Marconi, but he's been, well, I don't want to say he's been loath to use his bench, Peter Sekenis, but he's not been going to it as freely as he was earlier in the season recently. Just the two changes last weekend, and one of them was enforced by the knock to 10 qual. There's enough talent on there still. Players like Julian Monge and Luca Pecora, Sunday Yuna, who've had impact in first grade football. James Bayliss being welcomed back to the club, but not on the bench yet. Oh, here's the press from Marconi. Oh, and Busek not quite able to sort out his feet. Thought they might have had a sniff there, but Blacktown City have done well to play through the initial pressure. But even then, the commitment of Marconi to get back behind the ball after they've been beaten in that initial phase of play is really admirable. It's worked so hard for each other. Busek asking Sekenis to chase. O'Brien negotiates that little challenge. Grimaldi. Nick O'Brien. Smalia between the lines. He's picking up tricky little positions for Marconi, giving them a different look defensively. Grimaldi. Need to make the most of that, though, Blacktown City. Going backwards and just allowing Marconi to get back in their shape. Yej. Meyer dogged and cutting off the passing lane. Grimaldi looks to go over all of that. Lenaric wins the initial header. Armson fires further clear, and Busek with a no-nonsense touch. Didn't particularly impress those in front of him. And eventually it all falls over. Almost anticipating that will be the case, Marconi. I'll get the opportunity. Temperature beginning to drop a little here as the sun begins to set. Haven't seen too much of it this afternoon. It has peeked out from behind the clouds a couple of times. Stiff breeze blowing from behind our commentary position across the field towards the grandstand. But ball's not out to play, and Major's happy to play to the whistle. Malia played it into his heels, and then Jackson Brown is crunched by Windust right on the edge of the box. Again, the Marconi players insisting the ball was out, but from this angle it didn't really look close. And Major was alive, sensed the opportunity, and now Blacktown City might have their best chance of the second half from a set piece barely a yard outside the penalty area. Amongst all that, Cam Windust has joined Anton Mlinaric in Declan Wood's notebook. Changes being ready for Mark Crittenden. And Cheika Maniti's afternoon is going to be over here. He's got through his work, and it is the new signing from UNSW to make his Blacktown City debut in 2026. It's Lachlan Henderson. Just a little bit more size and attacking thrust. Does Blacktown try and steal a point here? Managed to stay competitive enough that is still a real possibility. And with Mitch Malia and Maxim Yej over the ball, it's going to be a test here for Joel Wade. I think they'll go direct for goal, and Malia does! Oh, he struck the crossbar! Just an inch or so away from sending Blacktown City level, Mitchell Malia. I wonder whether Wade had it covered, but it seemed to just dip a little further than the goalkeeper expected. It was anything but safe. and perhaps a little let off for Marconi. Reef back into action because they've looked so far in control that things have started to get a little casual in the last 5 or 10 minutes. That strike cannoning back off the crossbar has woken everybody back up. Well, if Wade did mean to just let that travel onto his crossbar, he's very, very short of his goal's dimensions. Would have been able to call that a stunning strike, not only because of its quality, but also because of the effect you feel it might have had. And Blacktown are just working their way back into this game. Haywood has a crack, and Wade is down to his right again. Suddenly, Blacktown City find themselves in a contest, and Marconi have got to respond. The visitors have upped the intensity and their own intent. I'm not sure many sense that they had that in them as we closed in on half-time, but this is a team of winning experience, and they know how to find their way to unlikely results at different times. Just the 4 wins all year, but they have managed 6 draws amongst that as well. It's kept them out of the relegation battle, or the automatic relegation spot. Yesic going down under the challenge of Tilton. Just slowing the tempo, I think, to give his side a moment to catch their breath. Suddenly a sense they might need a second goal to ensure all 3 points are theirs. Daniels flick on. Busek. Could they kill the game off right here? It's Mate Busek. Yes, stands and clears. Falls to Armson. Daniel. That's a good ball. Sekenis must finish and does now. Took a couple of bites, but the ball finds its way in via the boot of Damien Sekenis. It's become a very regular sentence for us commentators this season. Better than a goal a game. 14 for the season now. Beautifully found by Daniel this time, and the 2 fullbacks have got the assists for Marconi today. It stings double for Blacktown off the back of their best period of the match. They cop the sucker punch and go 2 down. And Sekenis so sharp at the moment that when he got the second chance, after the rebound fell straight to him, he wasn't about to turn it down from inside the 6-yard box. It's the sort of goal he's making a habit of, a very healthy habit. And Marconi have been glad for all those goals this season. They're coming forward with a thrust again. Blacktown City have woken a very angry opponent. Busek. Loose from Meyer. He's just got to keep his rhythm going because there's been a couple too many loose passes like that in this second half. Haywood. This could make the second goal look very important. A brilliant block from Lenaric. Superb anticipation. Blair carries the ball clear of trouble, although that touch was a little heavier than he would have liked. Just as this game looked as though it was turning back into a contest, Marconi have such a tendency to reef it back away from their opponents, particularly at this ground. Berry loses his footing as he tried to return the ball to Jackson Brown. So Kennis will drop deeper now and ensure that they can move the ball up field in situations like this as well, rather than just the free-flowing stuff that they showed through the majority of the first half. As we mentioned, Blacktown's task doesn't get much easier next weekend against Sydney United, but they'll be buoyed by parts of their performance today. 20 minutes sort of either side of half-time, where they have looked as though they at least have the ability to lay a glove on their opposition, which has not been the case at times this year. Having said all that, not often getting blown out of games. They'll lose by the odd goal or a couple if they're unlucky. So they did against Apia last weekend, but they just can't find the results they've been able to in years past. Major is looking for Henderson. Well, it was an athletic effort to send the ball back in field. No black shirt anticipating as Yesh clambers all over the back of Jesic, who offers a consoling arm. Exactly what his opponent was trying to do. A little feeling between the two. We saw Berry slip just a moment ago, and that's going to be his last action of today. Riley Nolan, who has come off the bench and provided an impact at different times. His lone goal of the season was a stunner against Wollongong. Get Blacktown City back into that game at Landon Stadium. Still his solitary strike of the league year. And now Marconi in an even more comfortable position, one where they really can just manage their way through, knock the ball about. One advantage, and I'm not sure the club see it this way, but the fact that they only have the league to focus on heading into the Australian Championship versus Sydney United and Apia, who'll be playing a Waratah Cup final this week, and then we'll have Australia Cup duties down the line. Does make them favourites for the Premiership in plenty's eyes at the moment. Add that to the build-up of home games they've got because of their early season travels, and it does seem a recipe for success. Maya over to deliver. There's a couple of bodies falling over. Jesic seemed to almost tread on the toe of Cooper Rogers there, and so Blacktown win the free kick. Now a Marconi substitution. I'm wondering what the hold-up was there from Cooper Rogers, but Franco Maya, as he's mentioned, moments of brilliance and a couple of moments otherwise, but he always gets a healthy hand from the supporters. You can never accuse him of putting in anything less than his best efforts. Flying around the pitch with reckless abandon at times. And so he's the man removed. Sunday Yono's got a bit of that about him as well. Certainly got plenty of pace. This kind of game now might lend itself right into his talents with his ability to fly up and down the wing. Blacktown searching for a way back in. Busek's got the better of Jackson Brown. He's had a fine afternoon, Mate Busek, and he's still got the ball between his feet. Very tight control until the last. And Tilt managed to get a foot in. Blair switches the angle of attack. Yona's first touch, not the easiest to have after coming off the bench on a cold day like today. Bernie returns the ball from whence it came, and Jesic overhitting that one. Never into a dangerous position, though. So if Marconi can hang on here, as they look likely to, go to 12 games unbeaten in the league, be one shy of their league best 13 without defeat to open season 2025. Habits of going on these long runs where they just look almost unbeatable. Something about this season that feels as though it's destined to culminate in a premiership. There's still a lot of hurdles in their way until then, but with just 9 games to go after this, RP are well within reach. Why not this year? To break the duck. And perhaps do the double. Something I'm sure that will be in their sights. Hasn't been done since Olympic managed it back in 2018. 8 years ago now. Rarer than you might expect. And that really would put the biggest of notches on Peter Sekenis' belt, which has a fair few on it for his service to this club during his time here. It's included a promotion, it's included cup victories, it's included a grand final win. Everything they desired when they appointed him. And they fell short of an Australian Championship crown in its inaugural year. So they certainly didn't have the rub of the green that day in December against South Melbourne. And you look at the body of work over the last 3 seasons particularly, but last decade or so, really, it is very, very impressive. The consistency with which they've just swatted opposition aside has been pretty terrifying. All built on a system of proactive work without the football, which goes from minute 1 to minute 90, as you see here. They just do not give you a second's piece, and it might have led Busek into a goal-scoring opportunity here. He gets tangled up with Jackson Brown, whose fight and desire was admirable in its own right to get back and present Busek from having a very presentable opportunity on goal. It's high-quality stuff. So less so there for Henderson, who just come back onside from the dead ball. Should have known better than to run wildly offside as he did there. Reminder as well, if you're looking to catch up on everything that's happening or happened already largely this weekend, the NPL NSW socials is where to do that. At NPL NSW on Instagram, Facebook, X and TikTok. Find Tarek Meyer's goal from yesterday against UNSW to send Sutherland into the top 4. That was a spectacular moment of Saturday's action, and where you found this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Streams of all the women's games coming up with the 5 o'clock kickoffs, as well as that Arpia versus Rockdale game that's in progress now. Those available under the live tab, and all the highlights of those games will be there for you in the next 24 hours as well. It's Nick O'Brien feeding Jackson Brown. It's a line of black shirts to aim for in there, and he can only pick out Wade. Not his best ball of the day. Caleb Jackson Brown has had to work so hard in the wing-back position he's been deployed in. Ooh, Wade's distribution may have been put off by Major's presence, even if he didn't get a touch on the ball there. And a little sloppy from Tyrone Burney. As though there's one more change coming from a Marconi Stallions standpoint in the late stages here. It's Blacktown City push for their first goal of the game. Grimaldi battling. As is Yej, just flew in, lost his footing. Nolan kept his. Mlinaric, so clever. final touch didn't match the first couple, but the defensive job was done. And here's a moment, Antonio Marvelo, 17-year-olds. Mostly avoiding the under-18s in a year past, and he's going to come on and give Cameron Windus the last 10 minutes or so off. Oh, that's a poor ball from Major. Perhaps a tired pass. Sekenis. Yes, it's still full of running. And he was only a yard off finding Sekenis on the return to give him his second goal of the afternoon. Malia shows something down the other end. He's come closest to scoring for Blacktown City today, striking the crossbar just a few minutes before Marconi scored their second. Nick O'Brien with a misplaced pass this time, and Yona's pace has taken him away from the recovering defence. Sekenis is in. Rogers gathers. He's been beaten twice today, Cooper Rogers, but for the most part, his working goal has been very tidy. Gathering shots like that, which looks simple. We think it looks routine, but we're not out there facing them, are we? Very easy to say from up here. Henderson and Marvelo coming together. Marconi want their youngster protected. Fortunately, he's not going to be this time around. Grimaldi. Yage for Nick O'Brien. Tilt. Jackson Brown. Nick O'Brien. Prodding it wide for Tilt. Ball in field was only as far as Blair. Lovely footwork from Daniel. He's had a much better second half, wasn't it? His best in the first. He's laid on a goal since then and looked very tidy indeed. Back to the standard we're so used to seeing from him. Yage and Henderson trying to link things up between those two. Can't beat Yona though. Jesic shrugging off Yage and then going to ground. Such a nuisance for defences. Marko Jesic has been for so long. When you do get a grip of him, it's generally with the ball at the other side, and before you know it, you tend to have brought him down and fouled him. And whilst all that's been going on, and he's been in a deep discussion with Declan Woods, it's just allowed Marconi to eat another 20, 30 seconds off the clock. Oh, and a couple of words being spoken between Sekenis, O'Brien, Jesic, and referees saying enough. There you go, very clear. Game fading out as the sun sets over Marconi Stadium. Stallions have won their way into a very strong position again. As expected, Bernie's wriggled free of the defence again. Jesic went down under the challenge. It did look all ball. Jesic has stayed down. This team continue without him. Try and find Sekenis again. That ball with too much on it. It's Riley Nolan who almost caught himself a little short there. Tracking back to try and help out. Did well not to produce a striker's challenge on Marco Jesic. This time it's Jackson Brown with Armson's 2 hands at his back. Opened the scoring today, Jack Armson. That does seem a while ago now. He's been so disciplined since then. The fact he's able to make such an impact up the attacking area of the pitch while doing a lot more defensive work than he is attacking really in this system for Marconi. It's been extremely admirable this year. And the play with so much of the ball, it gives him the opportunity to get forward consistently. Saw it with a third man run into the box today. Picked out a very good header. Well, I think in a sign of appreciation for his captain, Peter Sekenes withdraws Marco Jesic at the last. And good to see some minutes for Julian Monge. He was in and out of the team as a starter last year. Not been able to find that same frequency in the first team, but perhaps because there's been a few less injuries about, but still getting minutes off the bench, Julian. He comes on for the final 4 or 5 minutes. I can assume we're going to get a heap of stoppage time here. That is the last of Marconi's substitutions. They've used the 3 windows now. Yeah, he's trying to open up the field. That's asked a bit of Malia to stretch his legs and keep the ball alive. O'Brien. For Grimaldi. Major. Again, just unrelenting. Sekenes and now the fresh legs of Julian Monge just helping out in the attacking sense there. And then with Malia trying to turn, Quinton Blair is there, and Sekenes has green grass to run towards. He's face to face with Grimaldi. Sekenes for Sunday Yona. And Major back with a last-ditch challenge. Leading by example, the Blacktown City skipper. I feel as though Mark Crittenden would be rather more pleased. Some others were working back just as quickly. Whether it was just the position that Major had found himself in the run of things, but Malia has been playing a little further ahead of him in this second half, but still is wanting to be their attacking outlet. Marconi look as though they're going to lock up a 4th straight clean sheet here. Maybe they'll even find a 3rd goal to take all 3 points with them. Athletic effort from I think it was Grimaldi flying back towards his own goal. Marconi will take some set-piece practice with them towards the end of this game as well. All around Cooper Rogers. Pushing and shoving and wrestling at the near post. The ball is sent away from that and Monge couldn't keep it in. So it's much ado about nothing. Monarich and Nick O'Brien coming together and having words again. Neither one to back down from a confrontation, but I feel as though it'd be rather wasted at this point in the match. O'Brien's the only player to be sent off twice, and that's a 2nd yellow for Anton Mlinaric, who has really not done his team any favours there by talking himself into a 2nd booking. I'm not sure what it was all about. It all seemed to have come undone, whether it was a word with the referee. And that really was completely unnecessary given where we are in this game. Marconi home and hosed. And Mlinaric, for the second time this season against Blacktown, has seen red. It was right in front of the referee, spotted the two of them just having words with one another. And Mlinaric is usually pretty good at keeping his cool in those situations, just seemed to have lost the plot there a little bit, and he's, I think, a little bewildered by exactly what's got him sent off there. And I think that's what Peter Sikenis was asking as he trudged off down the tunnel. Well, that might be the biggest talking point of the game as we tick into the 4 minutes of added time. And it's Marconi that'll have the last laugh, but I think Blacktown will find that a sweet little consolation. That's now 8 red cards in the last 10 meetings between these two. Two teams that do not get on for whatever reason. Even with this game looking as complete as it was, they've still found a way to draw the referee into pulling out the red card. And so the third captain of the day, Damien Sikenis, makes his way forward looking for his second goal. Armson there, Rogers tidies it up. And you have to say, Declan Woods had sort of given a big public warning to everybody about the chat back and forth that had been happening over the course of the game, probably 20 minutes before that. Mlinaric and O'Brien were at the centre of that, so I'm afraid to say, even if I feel the red card was soft, there was forewarning that further punishment might be meted out. And Tilt drags down Sikenis, a hand over his shoulder. Marconi gives the free kick. Now Nick O'Brien's just going to be careful. He's not been booked this afternoon, so perhaps had a little more leeway in whatever unfolded there. I think will remain a mystery. Marconi keen to get the ball back in play. They'd love a third now. Well, so it had been a pretty routine performance until that red card was shown at the beginning of stoppage time. Given it's a second yellow, it'll only be the one game that Mlinaric misses, and he was going to miss it anyway because the first booking he'd picked up was his 5th of the season, so they'll unpick all of that. But the two involved in that little combative state are the only two players to be sent off twice this season in the entire competition. Anyway, Marconi happy enough with the results. Goals to Jack Armson and Damien Sikenis either side of half-time. Those two come together and embrace. It was a fine afternoon for them. And another tidy afternoon for Joel Wade in goal. He keeps a 4 straight clean sheets. And the Stallions are top of the table for now. They'll wait on the results of Apia's game against Rockdale across town. But they have done all they can to sit top of the league tonight. For Blacktown City, the search for results continues ahead of their hosting Sydney United in a week's time. But things are becoming a little bit more frantic than Mark Crittenden would like. And they've got 9 games to dig their way out of it. All sunny for Marconi, though, as they leave the Palace here with 3 points again. It finishes Marconi 2, Blacktown City 0.